Hi, today I'll be showing you how to solve quadratic equations using factors. You can use two methods to solve quadratics using factors, trial and error and the guide method. I'll show you both today. So let's start off with an example. X squared plus 4x plus 4 is equal to 0. So first we need to factorize this and then we can solve it. So draw two parentheses because that's what a factorized quadratic will take the form of. And automatically we can draw an x at the beginning of each, because we know that x is going to multiply with x to give us x squared. So we've already seen that, we already know that. And now we need to have two more numbers, one here and one here. And the numbers we're going to get them based off of these values of the quadratic. So think about what two numbers will add to give us 4 and will also multiply to give us 4, because those are the two values that we have in the quadratic, right? And the answer is 2, positive 2 for both. So we'll write that in. And that makes sense. And we can expand that out just to see if we were correct. So x times x is x squared, 2 times x is 2x, 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 2 is 4. Tidying that up, we'll get x squared plus 4x plus 4, which is the same as what we started with, which means that we correctly factorized. Okay, that's good. And now we know that since it's equal to 0, the quadratic, that means that either this term is equal to 0 or this term is equal to 0. But we don't know which. That means that we need to set each one equal to 0, and that way we can get the answer for x. So if x plus 2 is equal to 0, that means x is equal to minus 2. And in this case, if x plus 2 is equal to 0, that means x is equal to minus 2. In this case, both factors are the same, and that's why we only have one solution. But oftentimes you will have two different factors, and that's why you will get two different solutions for x. Okay, perfect. So the problem with the trial and error method, though, is that it can be slow and unreliable. Sometimes you get very big quadratics, sometimes you don't know how to approach a quadratic to factorize it. So that's why we use the guide method. And this can be very useful. So let's look at an example. 2x squared plus 7x plus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, and the way the guide method works is that you multiply the a value of a quadratic. If you don't know what that means, check out our video on quadratics. So this is the a value right here. You multiply that by the c value, which is here. In our case, it's 2 times 5, which is equal to 10. And you can make a little table on the right-hand side of your page when you're doing the exam, and you'll write down all the factors of this number. So the factors are 1 and 10, because 1 times 10 is 10, 2 and 5, because 2 times 5 is 10, and then the same for negatives, don't forget about those. Minus 1 times minus 10 is also 10, and minus 2 times minus 5 is also 10. So here, now we need to look at these factors and see which one of these will add up to give us the middle value of the quadratic, which is the b. In this case, it's 7. So we'll look at these factors, and we can see that it's this one, because 2 plus 5 is equal to 7, and at the same time, 2 times 5 is equal to 10. So these are the numbers that we need. And now we can actually rewrite this starting quadratic equation this way. 2x squared plus 2x plus 5x plus 5 is equal to 0. Notice that we didn't change the quadratic at all. We simply split up the b value into 2x and 5x, which still both add up to 7x. So now we can factorize by grouping terms. If you don't know what that means, you can check out our video on factorizing by grouping terms. So in this case, we will factorize the first group and then the second group. So let's factorize the first group. The highest common factor is 2x, and then we will get x plus 1. And then for the second group, we will get the highest common factor, which is 5. And then inside the brackets, we'll get x plus 1. And notice here that we have a similar factor in each term, which means that we can actually use that as a factor in our quadratic, and then the rest of the terms that are left over, right, which in this case are 2x here and positive 5 here, we can use that in the second factor, so 2x plus 5. And that is our factorized quadratic. So we can multiply that out just to see that it's correct. So x times 2x is 2x squared, x times 5 is 5x, 1 times 2x is 2x, and 1 times 5 is 5. So tidying up, we'll get 2x squared plus 7x plus 5, which is our original value, which is great. But now we need to solve the quadratic. We need to actually solve for x. And remember that one of these terms up here is going to be equal to 0, right? Because the whole equation is equal to 0. So we set both of them equal to 0. So either x plus 1 is equal to 0, or 2x plus 5 is equal to 0. So let's do the first one. If x plus 1 is equal to 0, that means that x is equal to minus 1. And if 2x plus 5 is equal to 0, that means 2x is equal to minus 5. And x is equal to minus 5 over 2. And as a decimal, that is going to be minus 2.5. Okay, so those are our two solutions for the quadratic. Okay, so let's do one final example with the guide method, and you'll be solving quadratics in no time. So here's our final example. 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. So once again, we'll multiply the a value, which in this case is 3, by the c value, which is minus 8. So we'll do 3 times minus 8, which is equal to minus 24. Now we'll write down the factors of it. Oftentimes you'll write down the factors and you'll see the right answer, and then you don't have to finish writing out all the factors because you already know what the two right factors are. But in this case, we'll just start. So we'll do 124. So that will be minus 124 and 1 minus 24. Then we'll do minus 2, 12, 2 minus 12. And in this case, we can already stop because we know that minus 2 and 12 are going to add up to give us 10, but they're also going to multiply to give us minus 24. So these are the correct numbers that we need. So now let's rewrite the quadratic, same way we did last time. So 3x squared minus 2x plus 12x minus 8. Perfect. Okay, now let's just factorize by grouping terms once again. So the highest common factor in group, so here's group 1, here's group 2. The highest common factor in group 1 is going to be just x. So we'll do x times 3x minus 2. And in the second case, we will do what's the highest common factor, and in this case, it's going to be 4. So we'll do 4 times 3x minus 2. Notice once again, it lines up perfectly, and this term is equal to this term, so we can rewrite that as one of the factors. So 3x minus 2. And then the rest of the things, so plus 4 and x, we'll write as the second factor, so x plus 4. Let's multiply that out just to see that it's correct. So 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times 4 is 12x. Minus 2 times x is minus 2x. And minus 2 times 4 is minus 8. Tidying up, we get 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. Perfect, we've factorized, and now we can solve for x. Okay, so either 3x minus 2 is equal to 0, or x plus 4 is equal to 0. So here we'll do 3x is equal to 2, so that means that x is equal to 2 over 3. We'll just leave that as a fraction. And here, x plus 4 is equal to 0, so that means that x is equal to minus 4. So here are your two solutions, and hopefully you'll be solving quadratics much faster and much more reliably now.